The Flor de Mar, or Flor do Mar, meaning flower of the sea, was a Portuguese carrack weighing in at around 400 tons that sailed mainly in the seas of the Indian Ocean during the early 1500s. This ship was carrying a great amount of treasure as nobleman Afonso de Albuquerque was returning from the conquest of Malacca, bringing with him a large treasure trove for the Portuguese king. When the ship sank somewhere off the coast of Sumatra on November 1511, most likely at the northern end of the Strait of Malacca, during its voyage back to Portugal. Attempts to find this ship have been made over the years, though they have not been met with success. Whilst some have claimed that the ship has been found, these have not been supported with irrefutable evidence. Thus, the wreck of the Flor de Mar, along with the treasure it was transporting, is still considered to be lost. Showing the importance of the loss, a replica of the Flor de Mar was constructed and is housed in the Maritime Museum in Malacca, Malaysia, which allows us to see how large this vessel was. The Flor de Mar is recorded to have been built in Lisbon in 1500 to being one of the finest vessels of the time. When it was constructed, this ship was one of the largest and most beautiful carracks of its day. She was built for the Portuguese India run. At 400 tons, she was the largest carrack built at that time, and was nearly twice the size of the largest ships that had gone on previous runs. In the same year, the Flor de Mar made its maiden voyage by sailing from Lisbon to India, under the command of Estevão da Gama, a cousin of Vasco da Gama. In the following year, the ship sailed back to Portugal, laden with Indian spices. In 1505, the ship was part of another voyage to India, this time under the command of Judea Nova. However, her return trip in 1503 met some complications since, loaded with spices, her large size and weight made her hard to maneuver, particularly in the fast currents of the Mozambique Channel, most notably around Cape Corrientes. Eyewitness Tom Lopes reports her springing leaks and being forced to stop for repairs on Mozambique Island for nearly 2 months. After the repairs taking almost a year, she finally arrived in Portugal in late 1503. In March 1505, the Flor de Mar, under Judea Nova, set sail for India with the 7th Portuguese fleet. On its return in 1506, the heavily laden ship again encountered repeated problems in the Mozambique Channel, springing leaks and forcing lengthy repairs on Mozambique Island. These delays lasted 10 months, with Nova attempting multiple, unsuccessful departures before finally completing the journey. When the 8th India Fleet arrived a year later, they found the ship still in repairs. They helped get her seaworthy again, unloaded her cargo onto another vessel, and commandeered her into their own fleet. Flor de Mar never returned to Portugal. Under new leadership, Flor de Mar saw action. She participated in conquests of Socotra, Muscat, and Ormuz, and even served as Almeida's flagship in the Battle of Diu. Captain Nova died in 1509, and plans to bring the ship home were scrapped. Instead, she supported further conquests under Albuquerque in Goa and Malacca. Unlike most India ships, which typically saw only 3 or 4 years of service, the Flor de Mar carved out a much longer career. However, her success as a cargo vessel was limited. Despite completing just one full and troubled India run when fully laden, the Flor de Mar's challenges proved to be valuable lessons for the Portuguese. Her experience contributed to the development of the outer route, a safer course bypassing the treacherous Mozambique Channel for heavily loaded ships. Additionally, the Flor de Mar's service lifespan likely influenced future ship designs. While larger vessels ranging from 600 to 1,500 tons would be built occasionally, the typical India No remained around the 400 to 450 ton range, similar to the Flor de Mar. In a way, the Flor de Mar can be seen as a precursor to the standard India No of the 16th century. The Flor de Mar was not only used for trade, but also for battle, as it saw combat in subsequent years. In 1507, for instance, it participated in the Portuguese conquest of Ormuz. In the following year, the ship took part in the Battle of Diu, and was also present at the conquest of Goa in 1510. In 1511, the Portuguese set their sights on the Sultanate of Malacca, whose capital, which was also called Malacca, was the largest commercial center of the East Indies and one of the richest cities in the world at that point of time, and therefore a target for plunder. It was from their new colony in Goa that the Portuguese ships, one of which was the Flor de Mar, being chosen due to her large capacity, began their voyage of conquest. The expedition was led by Afonso de Albuquerque, the governor of Portuguese India. The Portuguese expedition was successful, and Malacca became part of their overseas empire. Apart from that, much booty was gained from this undertaking. This was placed in the Flor de Mar, as it had such a large capacity for the transport of goods, to be brought back to the court of King Manuel I in Lisbon. However, as we have seen, the ship suffered from poor maneuverability when it was filled to its maximum capacity, and it has required several repairs over the years, therefore making it a risky ship to transport the spoils of war. On November 20, 1511, the Flor de Mar encountered a violent storm off the coast of Sumatra, Indonesia. The ship was laden with the valuable treasures from Malacca, was nearing its intended destination when the tempest struck. Captain Duarte Barbosa attempted to navigate the treacherous conditions, however, the storm's ferocity proved overwhelming. The powerful winds tested the ship's rigging, causing the main mast to snap and rip sections of sailcloth. With the loss of sail control, the Flor de Mar's maneuverability was significantly reduced, leaving it at the more exposed to the elements. Unfortunately, the storm's surge combined with the compromised hull resulted in water ingress. Below deck, the crew, a mix of seasoned sailors and those seeking riches in the East, faced a terrifying situation. The rhythmic creaking of the timbers, usually a familiar sound at sea, transformed into a disconcerting symphony of groans and pops. Prayers and nervous murmurs filled the air as the crew patched never-ending leaks. As the day progressed, the situation deteriorated further. With the main mast gone and the hull breached, the Flor de Mar began to list heavily. Captain Barbosa, realizing the vessel could not be saved, demonstrated leadership in this critical moment and issued orders to abandon ship. The remaining cannons were fired, not in combat, but as a symbolic act of defiance against the storm's fury. By nightfall, the relentless pounding of waves finally overwhelmed the compromised Carrack. The Flor de Mar succumbed to the storm's fury, splitting into and sinking beneath the waves. Tragically, most of the crew and all the valuable cargo from Malacca were lost to the depths. Captain Barbosa, along with a few survivors, were fortunate to have survived in one of the lifeboats. They were left adrift in the vast ocean, the sole witnesses to the tragic demise of the Flor de Mar. This event, a stark reminder of the perils of maritime navigation in the 16th century, would be recounted and remembered for generations to come. Apart from the treasures of Malacca, the Flor de Mar is said to have been transporting an impressive tribute from the King of Siam to the Portuguese king, as well as all of d'Albuquerque's personal fortune. This was the largest treasure ever assembled by the Portuguese navy. Unfortunately for them, their treasure ship never made it back to Lisbon. The final resting place of the Flor de Mar remains a mystery. Several unverified claims of discovery have been made over the years, including one by treasure hunter Bob Marx in 1992. These claims lack concrete evidence. The harsh sea conditions in the area make finding the wreck itself a significant challenge. Additionally, historical accounts suggest the ship wasn't lost in deep water, but rather near a beach. This raises the possibility that survivors or locals may have salvaged some of the cargo. Modern recovery efforts face additional hurdles. The diving area is reported to have zero visibility due to mud and strong currents, hindering any search for sunken treasures. The Flor de Mar, lost ship, lost treasure, lost to time. Maybe, maybe not. One thing's for sure, the sea never gives up its secrets easily. The saga of the Flor de Mar may have more chapters yet to be written. Stay curious, explorers.
Thank you for listening. Please join me next time when we will delve into another episode.